Okay, we'll start today with the scheduling algorithms. The goal of the CPU scheduling is to maximize the CPU utilization, maximize the throughput, minimize the turnaround time, and minimize the waiting time, and minimize the response time. Okay, this is the goal of a CPU scheduling. Okay, or we can say it is a process scheduling. Okay, why do we do schedule the process? To maximize the CPU utilization. That's what we have discussed in the previous session. And to maximize the throughput, and to minimize the turnaround time, to minimize the waiting time, and to minimize the response time. Okay, we'll discuss CPU scheduling algorithms. Okay, the CPU scheduling deals with the problem of deciding which of the processes in the ready queue is to be allocated the CPU. Okay, the what is the use of CPU scheduling? CPU scheduling will be used to decide which process should get CPU to be allotted for that. Okay, that will be decided by CPU scheduling. Okay, for that we will be having different scheduling algorithms are there. Using that scheduling algorithms, we will be allocating, the operating system will allocate the CPU to the process. Okay, the CPU scheduling's use is to decide which process in the ready queue is to be allocated to the CPU. Okay, there will be n number of processes will be waiting in the ready queue for CPU to get allotted, right? That time which process should get the CPU will be decided by CPU scheduling algorithms. Okay, here we have the CPU scheduling algorithms like FCFS. Okay, first come first serve scheduling, round robin scheduling, SJF scheduling, that is shortest job first scheduling. Okay, priority scheduling, multi-level queue scheduling, multi-level feedback queue scheduling. Okay, these are the different scheduling algorithms we will be discussing in this session. Okay, the first one is FCFS scheduling. Okay, this is first come first serve scheduling. First come first served scheduling. FCFS scheduling is called first come first served scheduling. Okay, it is the simplest CPU scheduling algorithm. Is the first come first serve scheduling algorithm, which is the simplest basic scheduling algorithm. That is nothing but the process which comes first to the ready queue, that process will get allocated by the allocated CPU to that process by operating system. Okay, that is simplest CPU scheduling algorithm, which is first come first serve scheduling algorithm. And with this scheme, the process that requests the CPU first is allocated the CPU first. The process which requests for CPU first will get CPU allocated first. Okay, that is first come first serve scheduling algorithm. The process which comes first to the ready queue, that means that process will first request for the CPU. That process will get allocated CPU first in first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Okay, the implementation of this first come first serve policy is easily managed with the FIFO queues. What is FIFO queue means? It is first in first out queue. The process which will get into the queue first will that process will get out from the queue also first. Okay, who will get into the queue first? The same person will get out from the queue. Okay, that is first in first out queue. Understood, right? Here this first come first serve is implemented by using this FIFO queues. Okay, first in first out order. Okay, when a process enters the ready queue, its process control block is linked to the tail of a queue. Okay, tail of a ready queue. Okay, when a process enters the ready queue, the process control block is linked to the tail of a ready queue. Okay, and when CPU is free, processor is free. When processor is free, it is allocated to the process at the head of the queue. Okay, the PCB will be now linked to the head of the queue. Once CPU is free and it get allocated to that process, means for that ready queue's head, the process control block of that particular process will be linked. Okay, the excuse me. Okay, when a process enters the ready queue, its process control block is linked to the tail of a queue. When the CPU is free and that process is allocated to the processor is allocated to the process, at that time head PCB will be linked to the head of the ready queue. Okay, the running process is then removed from the queue. Okay, the one which is running by the processor, that process will be removed from the queue. Okay, and the average waiting time under the first come first serve policy is often quite long. Okay, waiting time will be more for the first come first serve policy, because if the long process comes, that occupies the processor, so the shortest processes comes and they will be keep on waiting for the CPU. Okay, so this average waiting time under this first come first serve policy is, it is quite long. Okay, we'll see with a small example. Okay, first come first serve scheduling. Consider the following set of processes that arrive at the time 0. Okay, with the length of CPU burst given in milliseconds. Okay, take down this problem. Consider the following set of processes that arrive at time 0 with the length of CPU burst given in milliseconds. Okay, take down the processes P1, P2, P3. Okay, consider assume that these processes are arrived in this manner only. Like P1 came first to the ready queue, P2 came next to the ready queue, next P3 came to the ready queue next. Okay, and its respective burst times are P1's burst time is 24, P2 burst time is 3, P3 burst time is 3. Okay, these are the burst times. Okay, suppose that the processes arrive in the order of arrival also will be given in the problem. The processes are arrived in this order, like P1 came first, next P2 came, next P3 came. Okay, so now we need to draw the Gantt chart for the schedule. Okay, to find the waiting time. Okay, which process to know that how much time the other process will wait to get the CPU. For that, we draw the Gantt chart here. Okay, so we have in the question it is given that the processes are arrived in this order, that is P1 first, next P2, next P3. Okay, and all the arrival time is 0 only, but who went inside the queue is P1 first, P2 next, and P3. Okay, and the Gantt chart will be written like this. So P1 enters first the ready queue. Okay, how much time it will, what is its burst time? Burst time is 24 milliseconds, right? P1 will get allocated the processor first. Okay, how much time it will execute the process 1 by the CPU? That is 24 milliseconds. Okay, 24 milliseconds time P1 will get executed. Next, P2 will be, P2 also arrived at 0 time only, but P1 is executed first. Okay, in this order of execution is first P1, P2, P3. Okay, so next P2 will get processor. Okay, and what is the P2's burst time? It is 3 minutes. Okay, from 20 till 24 milliseconds, P1 will be executed by the CPU. Okay, after 24 seconds, P2 will get CPU. Okay, then 25, 26, 27. 3 minutes it will take for execution. Okay, until 27 milliseconds, P2 will be occupied by the processor CPU. Okay, next P3 will come for the CPU. That is, its P3's burst time is how much? P3's burst time is 3 milliseconds. Okay, but P3 will get the CPU at 27 milliseconds. Okay, 28, 29, 30. At 30 milliseconds, P3 will complete its execution by CPU. Okay, this is the Gantt chart representation schedule. Understood, right? Now we'll find the waiting time of each processor, each process. Okay, P1 is here we have assumed that the processes arrived in this order, like P1 arrived first, so it got allotted the CPU. Okay, and so immediately when the P1 came, it got allotted the CPU, so there is no waiting time for the P1. So P1's waiting time is 0. Okay, next P2 arrived, right? P2 arrived immediately after the P1. Okay, but the arrival time of P2 also is 0 itself. Okay, it arrived at clock time 0. Okay, but P2 got the CPU after P1. Okay, so P1 took 24 minutes to execute. Okay, CPU time. Okay, P2 got after 24 milliseconds only, P2 got its done its service by CPU. Okay, so the P2's waiting time is 24 milliseconds. At what time P2 started execution? That is at 24 milliseconds. Okay, it arrived at clock time 0, but it got the CPU at 24 milliseconds time. Okay, next P3. P3's P3 will also arrive at time 0 itself. Okay, but we have assumed that the processes are arrived in this order: first P1, P2, P3. Okay, so next, after completion of P2's job execution only, P3 got the CPU. What time the P2 completed its execution? It is 27 milliseconds. Okay, till 27 milliseconds, the P3 was waiting for the CPU. So what is waiting time for the P3? P3 is waiting time is equal to 27 milliseconds. Okay, how to find the average waiting time? This is sum of all processes waiting time divided by number of processes. Okay, here the process 1 waiting time is 0, plus process 2 waiting time is 24, plus process 3 waiting time is 27, divided by total number of processes. Here we have 3 processes, P1, P2, P3. So it is divided by 3. We will get average waiting time is 17 milliseconds. Understood, right? This is the first come, first serve scheduling problem. Okay, we'll see another problem. Suppose we assume that the processes are arrived in this order. Okay, in the previous example, we thought that the processes are arrived in this P1 first, then P2 first, then P1 first, later P2, later P3, right? In the previous example which we have discussed. Okay, now we'll assume that the processes are arrived in this order. First P2 arrived, then P3 arrived, then P1 is arrived. Okay, that time how to represent the schedule in Gantt chart we'll see. Okay, P2 arrived first. Okay, so P2 got allotted CPU first. And what is the P2's burst time? P2's burst time is 3 milliseconds. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. At 3 milliseconds, P2 will complete its execution by the CPU. Okay, next we have assumed that after P2, P3 is arriving. Okay, P3 will start execution by the CPU at after 3 milliseconds. Okay, and what is the P3's burst time? P3's burst time is also 3 milliseconds. Okay. So 4, 5, 6. 3 minutes it will take. 3 more minutes. P2 will complete execution at 3 milliseconds. Okay. Next P3 will get allotted to the CPU, and it will also take 3 minutes to get execution. Okay. At clock time 6 milliseconds, P3 will get completes its execution. Okay, understood this? Next, P1 will come. Okay, P1 will come, then P1's execution will start at what time? Okay, P3 will complete its execution at clock time 66. Okay, P3 completed its execution at clock time 6. Then P1 will start executing. Okay, CPU will, after clock time 6, the CPU will become free. Then P1 will get executed by the CPU. Okay, what is the burst time for P1? P1 burst time is 24 milliseconds. After 24 milliseconds, the P1 will get executed, and P1 will complete its execution by 30 milliseconds. Okay, 6 plus 24. Okay, that is 30 milliseconds. 6 plus 24 is equal to 30 milliseconds. At 30 milliseconds, process 1 will get executed. Now we'll find what is the waiting time. Okay, what is the waiting time for the process P1? Process P1 should wait in the waiting queue for 6 milliseconds. That means until process 2 completes and process 3 completes its execution by the CPU, P1 should wait in the waiting queue itself. Okay, so the waiting time for the P1 is 6 milliseconds. Okay, what is the waiting time for the P2? P2 is arrived first, we have assumed, so it got immediately the CPU. So P2's waiting time is 0. Okay, P2 waiting time is 0. Next, what is the P3's waiting time? P3 arrived after P2. Okay, after P2 completes its execution, P3 got the CPU. Okay, and then P3 got started its execution at 3 milliseconds. Okay, so 3 milliseconds P3 will be waiting in the waiting queue. So the waiting time for the P3 is 3. Okay, and we know how to find the average waiting time. Average waiting time calculation is sum of all the processes waiting time divided by number of processes. Okay, here the process 1's waiting time is 6 plus process 2 waiting time is 0 plus process 3 waiting time is 3. Okay, divided by number of processes, that is 3 processes, P1, P2, P3. Okay, 6 plus 0 plus 3 divided by 3, we will get 3 as average waiting time. Okay, now by seeing that previous example and this present example, we can come to one assumption that the second one, this one is much better than the previous case, because the average waiting time here is 3 milliseconds. Here the average waiting time is 17 milliseconds. Okay, so it is the second pattern. If the process will arrives, get executes in this pattern, we can reduce the waiting time. Okay, so here we convey effect short process behind the long process, because in the previous example, process 1 occupied the CPU for long time, 21 milliseconds. Until that time, here we have the short process, which its burst time is only 3 seconds and 3 seconds. These two processes, short process, was waiting in the waiting queue for long time until the long process get executed. Okay, that is the difficulty, or we can say disadvantage, of first come first serve scheduling. Okay, longest process occupies the CPU, that time all the short process need to wait for long time for to get the CPU. Okay, that is nothing but convey effect. Okay, the first come first serve scheduling algorithm is a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. Okay, it is first come first serve scheduling algorithm is non-preemptive scheduling. That means once the CPU has been allocated to a process, that process keeps the CPU until it releases the CPU. Okay, once CPU is allocated to a process, that process keeps the CPU until it releases the CPU, either by terminating or by requesting IO. Okay, either by until its completion it holds the CPU, or if it gets any request for IO, it will until that time it will hold the process which is uh, executing the process by processor, which will be holded that. Okay, until it gets terminated, or until it if we until the process gets an IO request. Okay, the FCFS algorithm is thus particularly troublesome for the time sharing systems. Okay, where it is important that each user get share of CPU at regular intervals. Okay, so first come first serve algorithm will be difficult if you use the time sharing systems. Okay, time sharing systems want every process want some its time, its share of time of CPU. Okay, so if you use this first come first serve algorithm, it the first process, if it is longer process, complete time the CPU time will be consumed by the first process itself. Okay, other process will be still waiting, even though other processes are shorter process, they will be waiting it. Okay, so it is difficulty for the time sharing systems. In time sharing system, each user get a share of CPU at regular intervals. Okay, after 20 seconds, process 1 will get CPU. After 10 seconds, process 2 will get CPU. After 10 seconds, process 3 will get CPU. Okay, that is time sharing system. Okay, there it is, usage of FCFS will be difficult. Okay, we'll see the problem. Take down this. Consider the following set of processes that arrives at time 0 with the length of CPU burst given in microseconds. Process and its burst time, that is P1's burst time is 3, P2's burst time is 6, P3's burst time is 4, P4 burst time is 2. And if the process arrive in this order, process arrival order also is given, that is P1, P2, P3, P4. Okay, P1 will arrive first, then P2, then P3, then P4. Okay, draw the Gantt chart for FCFS, obtain the waiting time for each process, and find the average waiting time, turnaround time for each process, and average turnaround time. Okay, so first we need to draw the Gantt chart. In this problem, they have given that the process 1, process 2, and process 3 and process 4 will arrive in this order. Okay, the process 1's burst time is how much? It is 3 milliseconds. Okay, so process 1 will get CPU and it will execute for 3 milliseconds. Okay, so it is 1, 2, 3 milliseconds. It will be executed by the process 1. Okay, it is process 1. Process 1 will execute for 3 milliseconds. Next, process 2 will get CPU. And process 2's burst time is 6 milliseconds. So, after completion of process 1's execution, process 2 will get CPU. And it will execute for 6 milliseconds. That is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Till 9 milliseconds, process 2 will get executed. Next, process 3 will get CPU. Okay, process 3's burst time is how much? It is 4 milliseconds. Okay, after completion of process 2, process 3 will start its execution, that is for 4 minutes. 9 minutes process 9 milliseconds the process 2 will complete its execution. Okay, then process 3 will run for 4 milliseconds. That is 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, till 13 milliseconds, P3 will be executed by the CPU. Next, P4 will come. Okay, P4's burst time is 2 minutes. Okay, after 13 milliseconds, P4 will get the CPU. It will execute it for 2 milliseconds. That is 14, 15. Okay, at 15 milliseconds, process 4 also will complete its execution. Okay, by using this Gantt chart, we will write the waiting time. Okay, so process 1 waiting time is how much? It is first come first serve. Process 1 is arrived first, so it got the CPU, so it need not to wait for any time. So P1's waiting time is 0. Next, P2. P2 should wait until P1 completes. Okay, because P2 arrived after P1. So P1 got CPU first. So until P1 completes its execution, P2 will be in the waiting queue. So P2's waiting time is 3 minutes because 3 milliseconds. P1 completed its execution at 3 milliseconds. So till 3 milliseconds, P2 will be in waiting. Okay. Next, P3's waiting time is until P1 and P2 completes its execution, P3 will not get CPU. Okay. So P3 should wait until completion of P1 and P2. Okay. At 9 milliseconds, P3 got its CPU. Okay. So till 9 milliseconds, P3 will be in waiting queue. Next, P4. P4 will be arrived after P1, P2, P3. So P4 will get CPU after completion of P1, P2, P3 execution. Okay, then only P4 will get CPU. At 13 milliseconds, P4 will get CPU. So P4's waiting time is 13 milliseconds. Okay, now we'll find average waiting time. Average waiting time finding formula is waiting time of all the processor divided by number of processors. Waiting time of all the processors divided by number of processors. Waiting time of all the processors is P1's waiting time is 0 plus P2 waiting time is 3 plus P3 waiting time is 9 plus P4 waiting time is 13. 0 plus 3 plus 9 plus 13 divided by total number of processes. That is, here we have 4 processes, P1, P2, P3, P4. So we'll get average waiting time is 6.25 milliseconds. Okay. Now we'll find the turnaround time. Okay. Turnaround time is nothing but burst time plus its waiting time is turnaround time. Okay. Here it is turnaround time of process 1 is, what is its burst time? Process 1's burst time is 3 milliseconds. And what is its waiting time? It is 0. Okay. So 3 plus 0 is equal to 3 minutes. 3 minutes is the turnaround time of process 1. Next, process 2. Process 2's burst time is 6 minutes and its waiting time is 3 minutes. Okay, so the turnaround time is 6 plus 3. 6 plus 3 is the turnaround time for process 2. So that is 9 milliseconds. Next, process 3's turnaround time is burst time plus its waiting time. His process 3's burst time is 4 milliseconds and its waiting time is 9 milliseconds. So 4 plus 9, it is 13 milliseconds. Next, process 4's burst time is 2 milliseconds and its waiting time is 13 milliseconds. So 2 plus 13 is its turnaround time. That is 15 milliseconds is the turnaround time. Now in the question they have asked us to find the average turnaround time. Average turnaround time is nothing but sum of all the processes turnaround time divided by total number of processes. Okay, here the process 1 turnaround time is 3, process 2's turnaround time is 9, process 3's turnaround time is 13, process 4 turnaround time is 15. Okay, divided by total number of processes. Total number of processes is 4. Okay, So the average turnaround time is 10 milliseconds. Understood this? This is the way we need to find the turn by using the FCFS algorithm. We can solve the problem and we can find the waiting time like this. We can draw the Gantt chart and we can find the waiting time, and then we can find the turnaround time, and then using that we can find the average turnaround time.